So you decided that you want to live full-time in an RV, or maybe you're still deciding whether you want to do that or not. What are some things that you should consider? Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to the Modern Nomad. This is probably one of the most common questions that I get on my YouTube and TikTok channel. It's kind of a broad question, and I'm going to try and cover everything as best I can, but it's not an extensive list, and there's probably going to be some things that I haven't covered or haven't even really thought about, so make sure you comment down below any questions you have pertaining to this video, or even things that I haven't mentioned in this video, and I'll make an update in a couple weeks with responses to those comments and try to cover it a little bit more thoroughly then. I did make a list of things that I would consider to be probably the most important, so I'll talk about those in this video. If you enjoy this video, don't forget to drop a like and subscribe to my channel down below for more content just like this. So when considering an RV to purchase, one thing you need to consider is what kind of rig do you want? Do you want one that's towable, or do you want one that's drivable, or a motorhome? Now, I decided to go with a drivable motorhome because I have a fuel efficient car, it's not really rated to tow much, and I don't want to invest in a truck. And I only move around once every couple months, so I move to a destination and then I stay there for a few months, and then I go to a different destination and stay there for a few months. So for me personally, it's just not worth buying a truck and then getting a trailer and then daily driving the truck. If you like daily driving trucks and you're okay with doing that, then it would be practical to go with a towable. But I like my fuel efficient car and I don't really have any other reason for a truck, so that's why I decided to go with a drivable motorhome personally. When purchasing your RV, you want to make sure that it's rated for the climate that you're going to be living in. Now, some of them are rated for 4 seasons use, and I think this is slightly misleading just because 4 seasons means it's rated down to 15 degrees Fahrenheit, and that just means that your pipes and tanks aren't going to freeze down to that temperature. In my case in particular, when I was looking for an RV to buy, I was living in Colorado, and 15 degrees just isn't going to cut it, so I was looking in the -5 to -15 degree range. Another thing that'll help out with this tremendously is if you get a skirt to put around the bottom of the RV. It'll retain the heat in the bottom and it'll help keep your pipes and tanks not frozen for lower temperatures. You also want to factor in the floor plan. Now, I would go to your local RV dealership, even if you're going to buy with a private party. I would just go to your local dealership and walk around some campers and sort of get a feel for the layout and see what you like, see what you don't like. One thing that I regret personally about my RV is the floor plan. It just isn't very good and it makes a big space feel small. So you definitely want to get a feel for all the different kinds of floor plans there are out there. And before I even got into this, I didn't even realize there were so many different floor plans. So definitely get into a lot of RVs and just get a feel for that and see which one you like best, and then look for those ones in particular. The model number on RVs typically will indicate the floor plan. So if it's, say for example, a 17BH, that would mean that it's a bunkhouse, it's going to have some bunks. Or if it has RK in it, that's going to be a rear kitchen, a kitchen in the back of it, things like that. If you learn those little codes and tricks, then you can look for those things in particular when you're buying from a private party. Or if you go to a dealership, you can just tell them that I want something with a kitchen in the back or a living room in the front. Things like that. They'll know what you're talking about, and it'll just make your buying experience so much easier. And once you've purchased your RV, you're just going to be a lot happier overall. You also want to consider the age and condition of the RV that you're looking at. If you're going to be staying in a lot of RV parks or campgrounds, a lot of campgrounds have some very strict rules on how your RV can look. And if it looks extremely old, or if it's really run down and it's just not very well kept, there's a high chance that they're going to turn you away. Even if you have a reservation or if you've already paid for it, there's a good chance that you won't be able to stay there. So that is something to consider. Just make sure that the RV that you're purchasing looks decent and it looks like it's in decent shape. And of course, once you have the RV, make sure you keep it in decent shape. Whether you're staying at campgrounds or friends and family's houses, or even if you're going to be boondocking, there's going to be a lot of times where the utilities are a little bit further away than you were expecting them to be. So I would just make sure that you would carry around extension cords for the electrical and hoses and sewer hoses and stuff like that. Just make sure you have extras of those so that if you have to stretch it just a little bit further, you're able to. You also want to make sure, specifically with the electrical side of it, that the extension cords you have or that you're purchasing are rated for the RV that you're using. So if your RV has a 50 amp connection, you want to make sure that the extension cords you have are rated for 50 amps. Or if you have a 30 amp connection, you want to make sure that the extension cords are rated for 30 amps. Living full-time in an RV, I've seen a lot of situations where people will run their RV off of like a 15 amp extension cord, and that's totally fine. If you use less than 15 amps of power, that's okay, there's nothing wrong with that. But in a lot of these situations, they're running their air conditioner, which uses way more than 15 amps in most cases, and that is sketchy and very much a fire hazard. So just make sure that the extension cords you're using are rated appropriately for your motorhome or RV. When you're out and about living the RV life, make sure you're extra careful about making friends out there. There's a lot of really cool people that live this lifestyle and a lot of very interesting people, a lot of good people to make friends with. But there's a similar amount of people who are sketchy and weird and people that you don't want to deal with, and people that are doing legally questionable things. I don't really know how to explain it without breaking YouTube's terms of services, but think Breaking Bad. One sort of side comment that I want to make here as well is make sure you understand what an upside down pineapple means. They're not necessarily bad people, they're really cool people sometimes, but if you don't know what that means and you're not into it, you can find yourself in a very awkward situation very quickly. Before you set off in your RV, you want to make sure that you have plenty of practice driving it around. So before you fully set off on your adventure, you have your date set. Before that date, make sure you drive it around, get a good feel for the handling and things like that, see how it performs, and what it's like when you have to react in certain situations. These things are very big and very heavy, and if you get in a wreck with one of these, it's a lot more serious than if you get in a car accident. So you definitely want to make sure you have a decent understanding for how it handles and how it drives and how it might perform in certain situations. Seriously, don't take any risks, make sure you drive it around and make sure you know how it handles before you set off on your adventures. When you're living this lifestyle, you're going to have very limited access to utilities, and you're probably going to be living off-grid a lot of the time. So before you get into this lifestyle, I would start practicing being a lot more efficient with your lifestyle. Things like if you're taking a shower, maybe turn off the shower while you're soaping up. If you're leaving a room, make sure you turn the lights off. If you're not using a computer or a TV, those things, even if they're turned off, they'll still draw power. So maybe add a power strip and flip the switch off, or just even unplug it. Those kinds of things. Your RV might have very large tanks and a very powerful electrical system, but trust me, you're going to want to be really efficient with it. It's limited, it might be a lot, but it's still very limited, and it's just something that you're going to have to get used to. It's not necessarily a bad thing. It's not something that's very inconvenient. It's just something that you have to get used to. And the first time that you run out of water or electricity, you're going to learn real quick to be conservative with it. In terms of the electrical aspect of it, you have a few different options that you can go with, primarily solar or a generator. Now, I would just go with solar as quickly as you can. It definitely pays for itself, and it's way cheaper than running a generator. With running a generator, you have to buy gas for it, and that doesn't sound really too bad, but when you have to run it for even small things like just running your TV or your laptop or something like that, it can definitely add up and it can get expensive very quickly. So even if you just have a small solar electric system, like a 200 or 300 watt system that can power your laptop or your TV, that can help tremendously with the cost of a generator, and the savings from that you can then put towards an even bigger solar setup that can then run your air conditioner, your mini split, whatever it may be. If you're planning to do any upgrades to your RV before you set off, I would 100% recommend installing a mini split in place of the air conditioners. There's a lot of reasons why you might want to go with a mini split instead of your air conditioner, but primarily it's just efficiency. And if you have solar power, efficiency is 100% key. And even with a generator, the more efficient your air conditioner is, the less gas you're going to use and the more money you're going to save. I made a video about the mini split that I installed in my motorhome, and I'm going to leave a link to that down in the description below. Go check it out. And I have a more thorough explanation into that in that video. So some miscellaneous things that you want to consider before living in an RV. Have a home base, have a place that you can go back to. In a situation like mine where I only move around every couple months, it's really not that big of a deal because pretty much anywhere I go, I'm going to be there for a while. So I have plenty of time to fix whatever problems that might happen. But if you're traveling around every single weekend, or if you're just traveling around a lot in general, you want to make sure that you have a place to go back to and work on your RV when things break. And I want to clarify that's when things break, not if things break. These things are basically stapled together cardboard boxes. They will break, and they will break a lot. So definitely make sure that you have a place to go back to and have a place to work on it. I should also mention that you should learn how to work on your RV or motorhome, because taking it to a shop is just very inconvenient and can be very expensive. And if you have to take it to a shop, then you also have to have a house or a tiny house or something to go back to while it's being worked on. And I wouldn't recommend taking it to a shop unless you just have lots of money at your disposal and you can pay someone else to work on the rig for you. Pets are very rough in a motorhome. I have 2 cats, and if I did not have 2 cats before doing this, I probably would not have gotten cats. I love my cats, so I'm not going to get rid of them. I wouldn't trade them for the world. I love them to death. Living in such a small space with cats, you have to clean basically every single day, and multiple times a day in some cases. Like when they're shedding a lot, I have to go through and vacuum a lot. That can get annoying very quickly, and honestly, I don't want anything to happen to my cats, and again, I wouldn't trade them for the world, but if something were to happen to my cats, I would probably not get any other pets. It's just extremely inconvenient in this lifestyle. Laundry is a big consideration as well. If you have a washer and dryer built into your RV, that's great, and I'm very jealous of you, but that's probably not going to be the case in your situation. So make sure you have a plan and a backup plan for your laundry. You could do it at a friend's house, at family's house, you could do it at a laundromat, or if you're way off the grid, then you could just even do it by hand. What a concept, right? But it's actually not as bad to clean your laundry by hand as it might seem. Receiving mail and packages is also kind of a hassle in this lifestyle. In my particular case, I'm usually in each location long enough that I can just switch my address to that new location and it works out great. There was a little while where I had to get a virtual address, and that was just so that I could receive packages at that mailbox, and I could also register my car and my motorhome, because you do have to have somewhere to register your car and your motorhome. That's one thing that I overlooked when first looking into this lifestyle, and it was a major challenge to figure out how to do that. But if you get a virtual address like at a UPS location, they will take that for your registration. Or if you stay at a friend or family member's house for an extended period of time, maybe they'd be willing to let you register it at their address. Now, as far as packages go, that definitely can be a little bit of a challenge. With Amazon in particular, pretty much every package I receive is from Amazon, and they just have a bunch of lockers everywhere. You can just have it shipped to one of those lockers. They give you a code, you walk up to it, enter in the code, and it spits out your package, or it opens a door and gives you your package. That solution works great, and it works 99% of the time, but if you're going to order something very large, that solution won't work. The lockers are only so big, and they don't make super big ones. Like when I bought my mini split, I had to have it delivered to my friend's house. Or with a virtual address, a lot of those places will accept large packages as well. So there's definitely ways to go around getting mail and packages and registering your vehicles. Ultimately, a virtual address is probably going to be your best option, but definitely think about that before you set off, because that's something that was very challenging for me to figure out after I got into the lifestyle. Pests are also a major problem in RVs. Like I said before, RVs are basically beefed up boxes that are stapled together, so it's very easy for critters and bugs to get in here. And, you know, the fact that I have cats definitely helps out with that, because, well, actually, I haven't really had very many mice get in here, but the 1 or 2 times that that's happened, they've gacked them pretty quickly. As far as the bugs go, you want to just make sure that you keep up with Bug Barrier. They sell it at Walmart. You just spray it around the inside of your motorhome or RV, and you spray it around the outside as well. Maybe get some mouse traps. And recently I also got these flying bug traps, and these are kind of cool. I was having a problem for a while where I would open the door and a bunch of bugs would all fly in, and I'd have to spend an hour trying to kill all of them. I live in Oklahoma, so there's lots of bugs down here. These things were pretty cheap, and I've got a few of them now, but basically it just emits a blue light, so it attracts the bugs to it, and then they get stuck to a little sticky on the backside here. I'm not going to show you because it's definitely kind of gross looking at the moment, but I would highly recommend investing in these because it's going to make your life so much easier, and you won't have to spend a bunch of time trying to kill all the bugs that flew in when you opened your door. I'll leave a link in the description to the one that I have in particular. If you purchase it using my link, it will help contribute to the channel. It's not sponsored or anything. I wasn't sent this for free, so I literally bought it with my own money. And you don't even have to get that specific one. You can just go to Walmart and get any old bug trap, and it should work fine for you. But yeah, pest control is definitely something you want to think about. It's a lot easier for them to get into an RV than a regular house, so that's something that you got to stay on top of as well. And if you can learn how to do all that stuff yourself instead of hiring someone, your wallet's going to be a lot better off. Well, that's all I got for you guys today. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to drop a like and subscribe to my channel down below, and I will see you guys in the next video.